Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my presentation on graphics. This is for week 10, I believe, of Art and Science of Video Games. Also, pay attention to this presentation. I know it might be a little boring, but please pay attention because you will have a game after this that I designed to quiz you. So please pay attention. Let's let's talk about RGB for a minute. And basically, what that is the primary colors of design. And the reason they're the primary colors is that you can pretty much create any color by messing with the values of each of those independently and trying to hit that sweet spot to get the color you want. It stands for red, green, and blue. The values are between 0 and 255. Those are adjustable for all three colors. Max being 255, that's a white. If you crank all the red, green, and blue color to that. 0 on all three channels for red, green, and blue are basically black. So that's kind of how it goes. And this diagram kind of explains it really well. So if you got a blue, red, certain values of that, you'll get a deep purple. Just you can mix these three colors for pretty much any color. And if you don't believe me, try your color picker in Photoshop. It's really good on this. So let's go deeper into that with color depth. So if you've ever wondered how, like when Apple's talking about the blackest of blacks and all that kind of stuff, that's what they're talking about is color depth. Color depth is defined by the bits of color of an image. So for example, if you're like me, I have a 16-bit computer screen. Right, so my whole desktop experience is a 16-bit desktop experience, and so it would possibly have a little bit under 16 million different colors. And what you can do to figure this out is basically, since 1 bit equals 2 colors, you can go like 2 to the power of 16, and after you've done that math, you'll know how many colors a 16-bit computer screen has. And there's so many different things, like some computer screens are 32-bit. 24 bits is considered true color. So I'll move on from there. And you'll often hear recalled as bits per pixel too, color depth. So moving on. So let's talk about the pixel a little bit. I picked this image mainly because it was, I think, the best representation. So pixels are little tiny dots, they're squares mostly, but they could be dots also. But these squares are different shades of any type of color you want, and they all combine to make this image. And it's pretty cool, and that's why I picked this image to kind of represent. You got these different little tiny squares of different varying color coming together to form this kind of stone wheel. So it kind of represents pixels in a big way. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to advance here. Okay, and each individual pixel, to get those varying distinct colors and shades, are separated into what we call 4 channels. So you got one channel that handles all the red, the different values of red in the image or in that particular pixel. You have green, you have blue, and then you have this thing for doing special effects like transparency on an image, or but mostly transparency, or when you apply a mask filter to an image. This is called the alpha channel, and that decides how these individual pixels interact and blend together. So that's kind of what the alpha channel does. Kind of showed it to you right there, or at least I tried. And as you can see, this the image on the right is extremely masked. It's really blurred, and the alpha channel in each individual pixel handles that. The blending of all the different shades of color, each individual piece of image to get that effect. So. And then just to show you a more broader example of how this has worked, I mean, you got each individual squares, each a very different shade of color, which the alpha channel handles how these individual squares blend together. Since, by the way, a pixel can only have one color, but can have any shade of color at once, and then the alpha channel also helps with that. So that's kind of a picture to demonstrate what I mean. Bitmap and vector lines. Bitmap stands for a raster image. It's mostly used in computer icons for programs, mainly because it's very restricted to what it can do. It's not like a JPEG, for example, that you can pretty much stretch to a certain point without becoming pixelated. A bitmap image, I'm trying to figure out a way to explain this, but a bitmap image is resolution dependent, which means it's dependent on the resolution and how many pixels per inch your computer screen can pack in. The average computer packs in about 100, and so basically if it stretches past that limit, the bitmap, it'll become real extremely pixelated and it won't be good at all. So that's a little bit on bitmaps. Let's talk about vector lines. Vector lines are used for people who draw, like use Corel, Paint, that kind of thing, and people that design logos, that kind of thing. And you design individual shapes and all that to eventually come up with a logo. And the cool thing about vector lines is they're a heck of a lot more flexible. They're totally resizable. You can move them, get them to mold to whatever you're doing in a way. So they're not resolution dependent, so they don't become pixelated. They're pretty much free flowing. So it's a lot better thing if you're designing, say, a logo or drawing pictures. Vectors are really neat, and people will have vector printers too, and that uses a special ink blotter attached to a motor, a little bit of a motor. Vector graphics today basically refer to 2D games, like of the early 50s, 60s, like way early games. So that's basically a little bit about vector. I'm sorry if I wasn't too clear in my speech, guys. I'm tired. So I'm doing this late at night. So basically, I hope you enjoyed it. Click the link on the slide to go to the game. Hopefully you guys have fun. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.